It was quite a challenge to find the kid for this film because he's carrying on with all the story over his shoulders. We did a long audition. We saw thousands of kids, and Louis was so unique. And the rest of the cast it's a dream cast. To work with Sigourney, Liam, Toby Kebbell, and Felicity, it was a dream. You know?
Obviously, this is a story that superficially is a wonderful, whimsical fantasy adventure, but it also explores some very important and poignant human themes. Can you talk about what for you is at the core of the story and the importance of exploring it in this way on the big screen?
Well, it is a multi-layer film. You know, it has lots of layers. So what I want is that every single people that will see the film had his own interpretation of the film. You know, that's more interesting as filmmaker. You know. Well, I mean, in this particular story was so unique, has so many different tones, and an aspect of fantasy and reality that finding the way to tell the story, the architecture of the story was quite a challenge. My other movies were about childhood, and Patrick Ness, he takes childhood so seriously. And it was funny that the first time I read the book, there were so many things in common that it felt like the perfect company for my other films.
It's an absolute honour to have you here for us tonight. This is an incredibly powerful film. Can you talk about working particularly with Lewis and dealing with such poignant subject matter?
Yeah, well, Lewis McDougall is such a fine young actor, and he gives this film everything he had, and it was a very important story that, you know, for him to tell, meant a lot to him, and he's right there. So he's such a pro, but we also had a lot of fun. He's a lovely young man. And what was the second part of the question?
Well, I guess just dealing with a film that tackles such very poignant subject matter.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think that Bayona set up a sort of set where we felt very supported to go on this emotional journey, and so I think that I think we all tried to take care of each other.
I guess just building on that relationship, can you talk a little bit about what makes him such a unique vision as a director?
Well, he is a great visual director, but I think he's just a great director as well. You know, I think that he had such a clear idea, having dealt with some of these themes in his own life, of the story he wanted to tell. And I think he really, you know, we had rehearsal, we had read-throughs, we had a lot of time to develop as a family, and I think that really made a huge difference. I don't know how, maybe they're too dark for adults, but I think children think about these things a lot, and they're very aware of all the things that go on in our disturbing world. I was a friend of Maurice Sendak's, the children's book author, and he always said we underestimate children and what they're taking in, and not talking about these things, I think, can be quite harmful. You know, I had an English mother, and she wasn't stern, but, you know, she wasn't your cuddly, sort of mushy mother. And so I was very interested, because I think her generation also, they kept a lot of things inside. And sometimes it was perhaps maybe hard in general to talk about things that were difficult, stiff upper lip and all of that. And what's interesting to me about the character is that in the kind of crucible of this very upsetting story, that she kind of finds herself in a different way. And they find her too.
I got asked to audition firstly, and after that I went and actually read the book, and that's when I got to see what a beautiful story it was, and that's what really attracted me to the project, the fact that everybody can relate to what Connor's going through, or will be able to, you know, because everybody experiences loss in their lives. Connor, you know, he's sadly experiencing the loss of his mother in the film, and he sees this tree monster that helps him realise the truth that within him, you know, helps him realise the truth that he already knows almost, you know, it's sort of weird like that, and yeah, so, yeah, he...
Can you talk a little bit about working with an astonishing cast, people like Sigourney and Felicity, that really are the core of the story around?
You know, working with them was amazing. I don't think I would have been able to do it without them. I mean, definitely working with them affected my performance. You know, whenever you get to work with such great actors and actresses like that, you know, they really teach you a lot, not necessarily through telling you stuff, but just through being around them. Well, I suppose I did all I really could do and sort of look at experiences in my own life and see if there's any things that crossed over and things that I could, relate to what Connor was going through. So I used my own experiences of loss and sort of tried to empathise with what he was going through.
Talk a bit about working with an astonishing director and the visual look of the film, which is quite stunning.
I mean, working with Juan Antonio Bayona, he's absolutely amazing. I mean, as you know, he's a phenomenal director. He was extremely supportive of me and made me feel like I could always talk to him whenever I needed to.
How does it feel to be here in London?
Well, here in London is great. Everybody's been extremely welcoming to me, and it's great to see everybody turn out here today. The support for the film's been phenomenal.
Can you talk for you about the importance of having a film that deals with such a beautiful and poignant subject matter in this year's lineup?
Well, A Monster Calls for me is an extraordinary combination of, fantastical filmmaking that has a real vision and imagination, and combines that with a really emotionally honest, very true-hearted story. And I think J.A. Bayona has done an amazing job of bringing Patrick Ness's novel to the screen. Lewis McDougall, the young man who plays Connor, is a true discovery talent, and of course Felicity Jones, Sigourney Weaver, and the melodious voice of Liam Neeson. This is a film not to be missed.